I am a 15-year-old boy named Evan. I live in a town where nothing strange happens, but recently I discovered something I should have left alone. After a long day of schoolwork and other activities, I wanted to settle for the night. My favorite thing to do at the hour was to search the internet for something interesting and new. What I found next was completely unexpected and highly disturbing. I found a picture of a man, or what looked to be some kind of entity, staring at the camera. His expression was startling. It almost knocked me out of my chair. The entity would soon be known as the Birdman. The Birdman had very distinct features: a yellow beak, black eyes, and a black fur covering its entire body. His nonchalant posture combined with his frightening facial features did it for me. After seeing this traumatizing photo, all I wanted to do was fall asleep and forget about this whole ordeal. But I couldn't. The image of that thing wouldn't leave my mind. I was forced to walk to the kitchen and take some melatonin and other sleeping medicines. This, thankfully, would put me to sleep that night. Little did I know that the nightmare has only begun. The following day, something strange happened to me. I woke up feeling discontent. I felt like I had to do something productive. My brain told me to put up signs all over the neighborhood. The goal was to scare children. I'd felt evil, malicious. Something had taken over my body and I just couldn't stop it. That entire day, I put up posters saying, "Have you seen this man?" I told all of my Reddit moderator friends what happened that day. They had all said I completed the Birdman and Albanian Chungus summon ritual. They were experts on the matter. Sydney stated, according to Britannica and the New York Times, if you place 30 signs that feature the bird's face on it, the man and Albanian Chungus will hunt you down and rape your body. I immediately ran to my computer and I said my final goodbyes to my moderator friends. I knew now that I was alone. I ran out of the house, and at the end of the street I saw a figure. It was the infamous Albanian Chungus and the well-known Birdman. I ran immediately to my friend Sydney's house. His moderator knowledge will surely help the situation. I banged on his door, screaming for help. Sydney opened the door, asking what was wrong. He said, "Hey, what's going on?" I shouted, "Sydney, help me! Albanian Chungus and Birdman are chasing me!" He said, "Evan, don't worry. I just have the idea to save you from this mess." He showed me to his room. He had a pentagram on the ground. Lit candles were everywhere. The pentagram was drawn out of human blood from the famous Sonic.exe and Dream, famous Minecraft YouTuber. He explained that this, combined with KFP in the middle of the pentagram, will summon a Birdman and Albanian Chungus. Then we will be able to trap the creatures in Sydney's room. Long story short, plans did not go as expected. Sydney placed the KFP in the middle of the pentagram, and immediately lightning came from the sky and exploded the roof open. Albanian and Chungus and Birdman were summoned to Sydney's room. They stood before Sydney. Shrieking horror was on Sydney's face when they grabbed him and made him touch grass for the first time in years. This caused intense damage to his internal organs. Before Sydney's demise, he screamed, "Evan, I love you!" "Sydney, I love you too!" His body then shriveled to pieces. His soul then visibly transcended into the ground. My heart completely broke after seeing Sydney lose his life. But I had to stay strong and flee. With this newfound opportunity, I sprinted away from Sydney's house and I ran to the nearest river. And this is where my story ends. Eventually, Birdman will kill me.
To anyone listening to this story, take this as a warning. I know where you live. I know when you hide. I will find you and eat your remains like a crow.
This user was later found in the form of feces near the victim's body. It seems to have gone through the digestive system of a crow.
I live in a large lake community. I was out on a pleasant walk on a perfect summer night, not a care in the world. As of late, I had noticed posters of a strange figure. It appeared to be a bird, but it also had human features. Local called him BIRDMAN. I hadn't thought much of it. I just assumed it was a stupid teenagers trying to scare the residents of the town. Taking these posters so lightly was the worst mistake of my life. It all started when I was walking down the dark street and heard the sounds of a crow. This was unsettling, but not out of the ordinary, as my area is known for being relatively safe. However, I didn't even make it another 30 feet before I saw him, the Birdman. He ran towards me and I couldn't get away. He was too fast. He grabbed me and dragged me away. Before I knew it, I had blacked out and woke up in a shed, the sounds of birds in the distance. If you are reading my story, please save me. The user who posted the story was subsequently found stabbed, with his body dumped in the lake near his home. There was a Tinder user by the name of Jared252. He was scrolling through the app when he came across a beautiful woman by the name of BirdmanLover21. I was a little bit perplexed by the username, but I just ignored it and went on with my life. I had swiped right on her because she had some beautiful eyes and brown hair. We later agreed to meet at a local cafe, and it turns out she lived practically down the street from me. She had just moved in 2 weeks prior, as a matter of fact. When we met at the cafe, we talked for about an hour and we drank a few coffees. After we thought that we enjoyed the evening, she suggested we come back to my house. As she said this, she winked. Once we had gotten back to my place, she started to pour powder into some water that I had poured for myself. I asked her what it was. She just told me that it was a drug to have for a fun time. As she was saying this, she winked again, so I didn't question it. I started to feel sleepy, but as I was closing my eyes, I thought I saw her turn to a black figure that I had never seen before. I was asleep before I hit the floor. A few hours later, I woke up and everything around me was black, but I could see 2 white dots about 10 feet in front of me. I felt like they were staring at me. I heard a deep voice say something, but I could not make out what it was because the drugs were still affecting me. I started to float up and I heard squawking. The bird-sounding individual started calling me names like the N-word. Then I started to float up into the air again. Lights started to turn on, and I saw a big Birdman-shaped figure, and his massive wings start to arch out, and I could tell that Birdman was the cause of me floating. It seems that he has telepathic powers, but once I had gotten a grip on the situation, I realized that I was at her house, BirdmanLover21. It was her. This Tinder user was never heard from again.
I am a 21-year-old and live near a lake. I live a pretty normal life and I just gotten accepted into a college I always wanted to be in. The lake I lived near was very friendly and I never ever felt threatened near there. Well, one day, I decided to go for a walk at a community lake, the one I lived at. I spotted a poster in the far distance. It was for a figure called the Birdman. I made fun of it and moved on. It seemed pretty stupid. The rest of the day went on pretty normally, but after a day, I heard someone walking around my house. I decided to shake it off as an animal being outside. I only realized how wrong I was when I heard my glass shatter and someone step into my house. They were full sprinting towards my room, and I decided to jump out of my house through the window. I ran away for miles, not thinking of stopping or looking back. I decided to move in with my mother for the time being. I did not want to go back. The next night, I saw the Birdman standing over me while I was sleeping, covered in blood. I yelled in terror and kicked Birdman. He stumbled backwards and I grabbed a book and hit the Birdman in the face. But it didn't do anything. He grabbed my neck and looked into my soul. I couldn't move or do anything. His piercing gaze gave me the idea that there was no escape. I could feel my soul leaving my body. He collected my soul and I watched my lifeless white body drop to the floor and disappear. After that, I was placed in a room in a soul orb, next to millions of others. Please help me. I've been here for years.
This post was from Reddit users u/Yoko19191. The story is told as followed. The year was 1987. It was a cold October morning, and I had to go to work. I got up from bed and did my morning routine. Then I went to my car to do my daily commute to work, but I noticed something funny was on my car window. It seemed to be a picture of some Birdman creature, but I brushed it off as a prank and went on with my day. While I was driving, I noticed something's running in the woods next to my car, and it kinda looked like the picture that was on my car. But I brushed it off and drove to my job. When I finally got there, I noticed the lights in the building were off. I brushed it off and went inside anyways, but when I went inside, I saw dead bodies all over the place. But I brushed it off as a Halloween decoration and continued on inside. When I got to my workstation, I noticed that the power in the building wasn't working. But I brushed it off as a Halloween decoration and continued inside. When I got to my station, I noticed that the power in the building wasn't working. But I brushed it off and went to the basement to turn it on again. When I got down there, I heard a noise. It sounded like someone was crying. But I didn't think much of it. Biggest mistake of my life. As I continued moving through the basement, I noticed someone standing in the corner. And as I moved closer, I noticed it was a person wearing a black bird mask. That's when he looked at me and started chasing me. I ran up the stairs as fast as I could, but something happened. When I reached the top of the stairs, the halls looked different, but I had no time to observe this as the Birdman was right behind me. I went down the halls, but each turn I made was just a different hallway. And then the final turn left me to a door. I opened it and ran inside, after locking it behind me. When I turned on the lights, I noticed it was in some sort of office with three vents, two on each side of on my sides and one behind me. There's also a long hallway in the middle. I also noticed a desk with this camera, flashlight, and why did I say camera twice? I also noticed a desk with a mask, flashlights, and camera system. That's when the phone rang. I pick up the phone and ask for help, but it seemed to be an automated message giving me set rules to follow. Oh, the rules went as following. Rule 1. If the guy on the phone sounds like a robot, curse him out immediately. Rule 2. If someone is in your room, put on a mask. Rule 3. If your shadow don't line up with your movement, kiss the desk. Rule 4. Wind up music box or else. Rule 5. Don't rewind the music box. Rule 6. If a purple gorilla is in your room, destroy all technology, enchant Windows Defender. This will make it go away. Rule 7. If you see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in your hallway, flash your light at him. Rule 8. Do not leave the room until 6 a.m. If you do, it will be the biggest mistake of your life. Rule 9. If a movie plays on your monitor, you must keep your eyes on it on all times for the whole duration of the movie. At all costs, do not look away. Rule 10. If you see something in the vent behind you, you can throw chicken at it. And the final rule, 11. If your ass itches, don't scratch it at all costs. I went through the night following the rules, but then I scratched my ass, and all the lights went off except one. And under that light was a Birdman. I tried to run, but he was quick and grabbed me and dragged me to the back room with a bunch of costumes, like a purple gorilla and some ripped-looking black dude. And finally, a Yogi Bear costume. And that's when I was stuffed in. Please, if you ever see a Birdman, run, because it may mean the difference between life and death. This Reddit user was never heard from again.